As we all know far too well, the cost of drivers recently just seems to be eye-watering. And that is why whenever something that's a little bit more budget-friendly comes onto the market, we get very, very excited about it, especially when it contains tech that you might expect to see in one of the most premium drivers out there on the market. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the exotics lineup. You guys have been suggesting this over and over and over and over, and we've finally got our hands on it. We've got the Exotics Max, the 10K super high forgiving driver, and also the new mini driver that has just been added to the range. I want to know if we're all just paying a little bit too much money for our golf clubs today, and if we can actually get the same performance for something that's a fraction of the price of most models out there.
Now, I mean this with respect. You guys have not shut up when it comes to the exotic lineups. Now, the driver is not new, and usually we wouldn't really look at featuring something if it's a little bit outdated or it's already been covered a lot. But I know you guys want to see how this is stacking up to some of the big names. But what is also exciting is that we do have a new product from the exotics lineup, and that is the mini driver. We've only actually had this for a few weeks now, and I'm very excited to try this out given what you guys are saying about the driver. Obviously, very, very excited to hit this too. These are fresh. I haven't hit them before. We're essentially going to be unboxing them, going through them, giving you my first impressions, how they perform, how we're getting on with them. I'm obviously going to run through the tech and everything like that as well. But let's start off with the driver. 10K driver, significantly cheaper than a lot of the drivers out there on the market. There's a movable weight track. There is a movable weight track in the back of that golf club. You can put that into neutral, draw or fade, which we are obviously going to have a little bit of a play around with today. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that at all, because if we look at one of the other big name super high forgiving drivers, the Ping G440K, you've got a 10K driver with the ability to put it into draw or fade. That's rare. That's hard to find. You've got it in here. I don't know what to say. I didn't expect that. Okay, this is a true unboxing, first looks, first everything with this driver. I really hope this performs well. I really hope this does what it says it's gonna do. Let's talk about looks a little bit. That sits really nice. It's kind of feels a little bit like if you took a mismatch of maybe like a little bit of a Callaway driver, a little bit of TaylorMade, maybe a little bit of Cobra because of that dark pattern. But I do really, really like that. We've got, the carbon fiber top, and it's not reflective, is it? It's matte. It's a matte carbon fiber top. I love that. I absolutely love that. You've got some really aggressive kind of lines on the face of this driver. We're seeing more and more drivers come with these really, really strong face patterns just to help you square up. It goes down in like a little triangle, and so when you're stood above the ball, it's really easy to pinpoint exactly where that needs to be to set up square. You've got your little exotics up on the top as well, got it written on the side. That looks so familiar. There we go. Yeah, it's a Callaway Quantum. It's a Callaway Quantum, but if you took the reflective bit of that carbon crown and you turn it matte. That's very, very similar in the design. Let's see what we can do with the exotics driver. Same drill as always. I'm going to talk you guys through my initial hits. I think we might also do a little bit of a challenge maybe with both the driver and the mini. I'm excited. I really, really want this to go well. Okay, 137 ball speed from a 91.8 club speed. That's kind of what I hit my fairway with that, actually. I feel like that is not going to be a surprise to anyone as to where I've hit that from the shot shape that we've got there. Tiny bit low on the face, but just quite far off to the toe section there. The only thing that I will slightly go back on myself for saying, yes, it's very easy to line that up there and then, but as I go to actually grip the club, I kind of feel like that sits a little bit shut. I almost talked myself out of that shot before I hit it, because it does just sit just like a little bit different than I want it to. When it's set up square, it doesn't quite look like it's square. Okay, Not my best strike there, for sure. You're gonna get away with that? That's interesting there, because it's a toe strike that felt like it was from the heel. Obviously it looks like that's gone off quite a lot, but in reality I just really left the face open there, and so it started off to the right, and actually the amount that it's turned away there isn't really that bad. It's actually got quite a nice, you know, strong, powerful feel from the face, which I do quite like. Okay, that was a big toe strike. I am struggling here to find the center of the club face, and yet we're rolling out there at 247. 247 from a 134 ball speed is very, very interesting, especially given that strike location there. And we're going to try and find the centre of the club face, guys, but at least you can see that there is definitely forgiveness and tech helping me out here. So within that tech, the main things we are looking at, we've got a lot of carbon fibre in this driver, 80% more than the previous model that Tour Edge had to offer for their most forgiving driver. This 10K model is meant to be the highest forgiving they have ever made, and by using more carbon fibre, we've got more weight savings. You're able to push more mass out onto the perimeter, improve the CG position, and just make it more forgiving. It's the same story that we see with pretty much every driver on the market now chasing extra forgiveness. Mentioned earlier that kind of triangle pattern coming down on the face of the club, that's the pyramid face technology, and while we've obviously got it there for reasons to line up the golf ball to keep it nice and square, inside the face we've also got variable thickness technology. Again, another thing that we have been seeing in drivers for a while now. What that's doing is essentially taking it from having one big sweet spot in the middle to meaning that all the areas on the golf club are more like a sweet spot, and you're going to get a lot more consistency on your miss hits, which I feel like is definitely coming into play with some of the shots that I have been hitting for you guys so far. Obviously also got that movable weight track at the back. We've got added tungsten, which is just helping with the weighting, making sure that everything there is optimized for launch and forgiveness. The only thing with that design, you can kind of see the ridge very clearly on the back there. You know, you've got the movable weights, but then it also kind of lifts itself up here. I'm hoping you can actually see that from this camera angle, that it jumps up here, and the movable weight track does add a little bit of mass on the back. I think that is the thing that's making me feel a little bit weird as I stand up to the ball. So, you know, maybe a little bit of compromise there to be able to actually put the weight track in. As far as the price point goes, I would say this has a very premium feel to it for what you're paying. The overall finish of it is great. The actual feel and the sound is great. The forgiveness is great. I just wish I could actually hit one from the centre for you guys so that we could see how far this actually goes. Okay, like that. I like that a lot. 137.7. Loads of balls all in that same little area on my little green. 246. I feel like I'm getting some really good numbers, really strong ball speeds, really strong carries and distances. But the club speed's just down. It's like I'm talking myself out of the shot and I just can't seem to swing like 100% flat out, and yet I'm getting numbers that I would be really happy seeing at like a 94, 95 club head speed.
Just jumping in here to give you guys a quick second to remind you that if you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It's so easy, it's completely free, it doesn't cost you anything. All it's gonna do is suggest more videos about golf equipment from us on your YouTube homepage. I know the majority of you watching this video are not subscribed to the Golf Magic YouTube channel, so I know you're probably listening and you're probably thinking, I'm not subscribed. You should be. If you like golf equipment, this is the place to be. So please hit that subscribe button. Of course, let me know your suggestions down in the comments of what you want to see. And also, if you're enjoying this video, if you're finding it at all helpful, please leave me a little like. It supports this channel massively. And for now, let's get back to testing out the exotics line.
Straight away, loving the cohesiveness we have going on here. The mini driver kind of looks like if you flattened the driver and just kind of took a little bit off it, or like shrunk it in a little bit. We've got more of that front bit that separates the face from the crown. We've also got the same face design, which is really nice there. We've still kind of got that, you know, the increase, that little bump at the back of them. You can see that on both of them, so not 100% sure how I'm going to feel with the mini driver there. So visually there we can already tell that there is a lot of the same technologies. You know, we've got that carbon crown going along at the top of the golf club. We've also got that pyramid face technology helping us both visually and with that variable face thickness. We've also got adjustability on the loft there so that you can take it up or down a little bit if you so wish. So differences here, even though we have got that ridge at the back, this is not a movable weight in the back of the mini driver. We've got a fixed 13-gram weight at the back, so that should help with a little bit of the launch, bit of forgiveness there. Always nice to have a little bit of extra weight in the back of the club head. This is a 280cc mini head. I definitely say that is on the smaller end of what you would maybe see with mini drivers, but then with the kind of shaping of it, you know, it doesn't look small. Definitely looks bigger than you would expect to see maybe with a fairway wood. The fairway woods, if you were going for the low spin exotics fairway, that's down at a 165. So definitely a jump there. We'll see how it gets on in terms of performance. Okay. That flew so much further than I was expecting it to. And again, not the best in terms of the actual strike there. That went so high. Okay, that is much better. Much better. Spins a little bit lower there as well. 227, I mean, I'm hitting further than the little target that I've set up. I mean, that was also not a good strike. I'm really struggling with the strikes, but at least it's showing you guys that, you know, these clubs are very forgiving, if nothing else. And I mean, to be fair, I actually find mini drivers and fairway woods some of the worst for when you start hitting shots, you know, slightly to the toe, because they don't always have the same capabilities to be super forgiving like drivers are. And so the fact that we haven't seen that scuttle like really low, flicked over, turned really far to the left, side spin minus 444. Yes, that is a little bit more side spin than I like to see, but when you strike it that far from the toe, you know, you can't be too picky there. That was nice. That was very nice. 133 with the ball speed. That's weird because it's not that far from like some of the numbers that we were seeing with the driver. 90 club speed. That's pretty good, I would say, those numbers there. I want a little bit more of a challenge now. I want to simulate some kind of drivable par fours, but also like tricky holes where you need to be, you know, really on it with your driver. There's one place I can think of where we might just be able to get that going, and it is Tobacco Road. Now this is also where we get to make it a little bit interesting, because I'm going to use the movable weight track on the back of the driver. No, you would not be able to do this during an actual golf round, but this is just a little bit of fun. This is just testing out the different options that we have here. So 331 out to the right. I'm going to put this into a little fade setting because I feel like that could be a nice little shot in here. Definitely do not think we're going to be getting up towards the green on this hole, but that's okay. Let's see how close we can get it. Okay, it's not a massive fade, but that is all right. It's going to turn in nicely there. It's definitely the shot we wanted as well. This is a good one. I know it says 300 yards. It's actually only about 260 if you take the direct route to the hole here. Now, anybody who's kind of looking at that and the whole layout is maybe thinking they would want to hit a fade into that. For me, a fade is not going to give me 260 yards, and I just need to squeeze everything out to try and get on here. Oh, I whacked that so hard. Just go, 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 go. It's going to get caught on the edge, isn't it? Oh, that was so nasty. That was so close. That carried 220 and it literally just needed to carry 221. I feel like I can do that. Can I have another go? Can I have a mulligan? Should we? I'm going to try once more. Oh, 140 ball spin. Where did that come from? Don't tell me when. Okay. You know what? That bunker just wants to get me. It's fine. It's fine. Really glad to see that. 140.5 ball speed. If a club gets up into 140, it's a fast drive with me. 242 for the total length. This is saying it would have gone 251, and that would be naturally without the downslope on the game. So really, really good numbers there. It's still in the bunker, it's fine. What can you do? So this is a little bit shorter. I know you can't really see anything there, but we're basically looking at about like a 210 carry maybe. A little bit of a draw shot just to come around these trees. Is that gonna draw? Come on. I just went dead straight. And I hit it from like the center as well. And we are definitely in the draw setting there. So that's a little bit interesting. I don't really feel as though the draw and the fade settings are actually doing that much to the shot shape. So what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna go hit more shots specifically in that draw and fade setting, and then we're gonna have a look at the data so that you guys can see exactly how the exotics driver and mini are performing.
Let's start off with the mini driver just because it's a little bit different, and obviously we haven't got those weight ports at the back, so there's not as much to look at in the data there. Now remember, the mini driver in the exotics lineup that we have is the low spin model, and I feel like this is showing me exactly what I would expect from a low spinning driver, and you just got to bear that in mind a little bit. So when we're looking at the distance, I think I said as we were going through, 200 yards felt very consistent. Lo and behold, my average carry across all shots that were hit, 201.3 with a variance of 1.8. That is pretty consistent. What's even more consistent is that we go on to the total, 217 with a variance of 2.1. Now, I think they're pretty good numbers. You know, we saw some of the distances pushing at like 220 as very maximum there. I'd say that's pretty good. Ball speed coming out at 130.2 with a variance of 2.1. I think it's really interesting that the ball speed was fluctuating more than the total and the carry. And it kind of seemed to be that even though the ball speed could drop or gain a little bit depending on where I hit it on the face, the shot that I would get was pretty much the same in terms of the distance. Where it was not quite the same was when we look at the spin rate. So overall, the average spin is 2,934. That's low spin, I would say, for a mini driver. That is a spin rate that I sometimes see with main drivers. So moving that down to a mini is pretty good. The problem is that the variance on that is 665. That unfortunately is not a good variance for me in the mini driver category. What that meant is that it could really shoot up depending on where we're striking it. You know, for some of my missed strikes, I saw it really low and really high. That, I don't love to see that. And when we looked at the side spin, I was getting an average of 336. Nearly every single side spin you will hear on this channel goes to the left, but that was actually going to the right. This is the part where I mean, it's a low spin driver. For me, low spin means I'm gonna have a right bias towards it, which is why you never really see us doing low spin drivers. There's actually been a few that I have come across this year that I really like, some that I have even been fitted into. So that we will be featuring on the channel. I know a few of you have asked about them, but yeah, going out to the right with a variance of 348. So that means that either it was going dead straight or it was going quite far off to the right. The consistency with the distances is very interesting given the lack of consistency with the spin rates and that spin out to the side. I think it's just something to bear in mind that you might love the Tour Edge Max driver. The Tour Edge Mini is low spin. So there is a difference there. Just to be aware of, because I don't know, you might not pick that up because there's nothing on it other than when you look into the tech, there's nothing on it that tells you that that is a low spin mini. But yeah, it was fast from the face, good distances there, a really good feel. Just gotta knock it a few points for that inconsistency in the spin rates. Now when we come onto the driver, this is getting interesting. The overall story, I would say, is that I felt like I was getting distances that were very impressive for ball speeds that were low. I saw one up at like 139, we saw one up at 140 when I put it into the draw setting. But if we start off in neutral, 218.6 with a variance of 3.5 for the carry. That was then up at 241 total with a variance of 5.2. And an average ball speed of 135 with a variance of 2.2. So now we're getting to a point where there's a little bit more variance there in some of the distances. Let's just go on to some of the other settings. So if we then move that into draw, we are seeing a little bit of an increase there. That's what I always tend to see with my golf game. So 220 with 2.9 variance, 243 with 4.8 variance. And like we say, we saw some really, really strong numbers with that in some of the draw settings. 137.3 with a variance of 2.2 for the ball speed there. So a little bit faster, a little bit further. Really, really like that in the draw setting. When we moved into fade, definitely a little drop down in the distance compared to the draw setting. So 216 with a variance of 5.1. My variance did increase there. Didn't like to see that, did expect it though. Total of 241 with a variance of 5.8. Interesting that that is very, very close to the neutral total. So not actually losing that much out in the total distance, which again, abnormal for a fade setting for me. And ball speed 134.8 with a variance of 2.3. The bit that gets interesting is when we start looking at the spin rates. And I almost don't know why this has happened, okay? I don't have an explanation here. However, I have some observations to go along with it. So in neutral, 2,486 with a variance of 636. Again, unfortunately not good and very similar to the mini driver in terms of the variance there. Yet, when we moved it into the draw setting, the spin rate went down tiny bit, 2,322. Love that as a number. 386 in the variance. Not the best variance I've ever seen, but that puts itself up there with some of the big names in terms of variance and way better, obviously, than 636 with the fade setting. Once again, very similar to the neutral, 2,425 with a variance of 661. I felt like when I put it into the draw setting, I felt like the sweet spot was sweeter. I felt like the feel of it from the face felt so much better. It felt, no, I'm not going to say it felt awful because that is really harsh. I did not enjoy the feel when it was in the fade setting, but it felt right in the draw setting. It didn't feel unbalanced or anything like that. I can be quite sensitive to when I move the weight ports around because I fit into like everything in neutral. So I notice when it has changed, but it felt more neutral in draw than it did in neutral, if that makes sense. If we look at the shapes that we're getting there, neutral was an average of -12. That makes it look like it's going really, really straight, but because we've got going out to the right and going out to the left, that just means that it was doing equal amounts on both sides. So the variance there was 222, which to be fair, is pretty good. The variance on the side spin of all of these is really, really good. It's weird. I don't think I've ever seen a driver have so much variance in the backspin, but be so consistent there in the side spin. Onto the draw setting, -131 with a variance of 195. That is like my GT. I know I've moved into the GTS, which is a little bit better than that in terms of the numbers there, but that shot shape is like my GT. And other than the ball speed just being a tiny bit down there, it's just tiny. And if we took some of like the best shots that I hit with that, that would be up at my GT numbers, which is kind of wild. 131 to the left with a variance of 195. I really, really like that. It's either gonna go straight or it's gonna go with a nice little curve to the left. So that's perfect for my game. And then with the fade, 19.7 to the right with a variance of 195. To me, that's not actually fading. There's a tiny bit of a fade bias there, tiny when you take the average of all the shots, but it can still have a curve going to the left. I do hit with a natural draw, but most of the time, even when I put it into the fade setting, it does still go out to the right. So if I was putting this in play, I would 100% put it in draw over neutral or fade. But I mean, the fact that we have a 10K super high forgiving driver that can even do that for the price tag, that is impressive in itself, even if I would never use the fade option. So really, really cool to see that. Let me know what you guys think. I hope you've enjoyed going through the exotics since you guys have been asking for it for so long. What do we want to put these up against? Let me know it down in the comments. And of course, make sure you hit that subscribe button so I will see you guys in the next video.